everyone. Welcome. We've given it a few minutes for people to join, and I think some people will still trickle in while we start already. But yeah, in the meantime, welcome everyone to actually the very first spaces that I'm hosting myself or co-hosting. I have a few other people in the call that will help me through this. But yeah, today is actually very important for us as we celebrate 3 years of the persistence chain. So I want to welcome a lot of people today on this call, whether it's collaborators, whether it's people from different teams that have worked with us. I want to kind of talk to a few different things. Obviously, we'll talk about persistence, about the journey, like where we are headed. But mostly, it's about like chilling together with persistence and kind of catching up, see what's good for everyone, and yeah, kind of emphasize a little bit on where we stand, where we're going, like what's our mission, what has changed, like have we pivot, like how have we kind of pivoted and things like that, and especially like what's next, like why are we bullish on ourselves, why are we bullish on persistence, why are we bullish on the ecosystem, what's the vision, and so on. Obviously, want to have a lot of people chime in on how they have experience, like working with persistence, building on top of persistence, in collaboration with persistence, things like that. Want to hear from some team members today about their journey, and yeah, literally, like want to keep this very open-ended in a way. Like want everyone to kind of chime in and jump in, like request to be a speaker if you have something interesting to share or something funny or whatever. Kind of we can keep it very very chill and relaxed and very hopefully fun for everyone. In the call, I think the aim is to keep it under an hour. I know everyone's time is super valuable, so yeah, I think we can kickstart maybe with a little introduction, maybe on persistence and maybe the journey that we've had so far. And I think the best person to do that would be someone who's been there from the very beginning. And yeah, I want to invite him up to the stage, basically to talk a bit about the journey that we've had so far and kind of set more of the stage for the rest of the spaces as well. So welcome, Mikkel.
Hey, Yaron, thank you. And I think that was a very nice, introduction to the space. I really enjoyed listening to this. Hey, everyone, thank you for being here again. It's 3 years of the chain being live. I think something that is definitely underlooked in this space is the ability to kind of keep producing blogs and keep going at it for a long enough time horizon. For us, the 3 years have gone by. It seems like one is uh, to a certain degree I feel like it's been more than 10 years. To a certain degree I feel like it's been like it's just the start. So it's kind of a mixed feeling in that sense. Persistence, for those of you who may not know about us, we are a layer one chain that has been building in Cosmos since 2019. So we leverage the Cosmos SDK and the Cosmos tech stack. We build products for the Cosmos ecosystem. So we've been building. We started off, our journey trying to bring real world assets on chain, move towards liquid staking immediately after realizing that the real world is too slow, and we wanted to move fast. And started building liquid staking. Since then, we've been building things around liquid staking. The objective for the persistence chain is to house applications that cater to a specific use case, which is the use case of liquid stake tokens, and maximize yields that people can generate on their liquid stake tokens. We are also working towards restaking, building a restaking product that would allow people to lock up their liquid stake tokens or the native assets within Cosmos and generate additional yield on top of their liquid stake tokens. So that's kind of who we are. We are a layer one, which is purpose built for the mission to maximize liquid stake asset yields. Handing it off to
Nice.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's a great way of putting it. And obviously, like I've heard this quite a few times, but always good to hear it from you as well. You know what I'm quite curious about, because look, myself, so I joined Persistence about 2.5 years ago. So I wasn't there actually when the Genesis block was minted. Um, but tell me a bit more, and I think maybe like first to hear from you, Mikil, but then also want to hear if there's anyone in the audience actually who was maybe there at the start, like how they experienced that, maybe if they had any influence on it, or like, I mean, at least any activity on that day. Like, but from your experience, at least, like, what was that very first block, or what was that day like? Like, what is it to actually prepare for a chain launch? How did we, or how did you get to that point, and like, how did you experience the launch day? Um, Tell me what comes with it. Is that nerves? Is that like excitement? Like, what's the story there?
It's a little bit of everything. I don't know if Puneet is here on the space, but he could talk about a lot of the things that happened. But if I'm not mistaken, we had some issues around the wallet. Like P wallet. Obviously, there was no Kepler at the time, so you know uh, we were reliant on our own wallet. We built our own wallet to make sure that things happen smoothly. And or maybe there was Kepler, but we were still reliant on P wallet at the time, because it just made sense for us to have our own wallet, because no wallet in Cosmos really had a lot of mindshare or attention at the time. Obviously, Cosmos Station was one app that did have some mindshare at the time, but beyond that, you still wanted to feel more comfortable having your own wallet so as to not be reliant on third parties. And I think there was some issues which would just limit the actual transfer of XPRT itself, on P wallet. And we were kind of, I think Puneet was up all night, I was up all night, so was Tushar. We had like a couple other people from the team who were up all night trying to fix this just before the token was going to go live. So token, I think, went live on 1st of April. The chain went live, but there were some vesting wallet issues that that we were going through. But I think the launch was very exciting because you kind of start seeing everything you've worked towards for months come to life, and you're like, wow, something's going to happen. When you see that first block on the chain, you're like, damn, this is what it feels like. Obviously, you've seen that happen on other chains, but when your own chain goes live, it's a very unique feeling. A little bit hard for me to describe as well, because like it's unique to people. For me, it was like finally, a little bit of a relief, because the chain is now live and it's working
And now
fine.
everything can start. I think that's
Correct,
only the starting point, right?
correct, yeah.
But tell me a bit more, Mikhail, about like the years actually leading up to that. Because so, I mean, I actually just looking on Mintscan, block one was minted on March 30th, 2021 at 108:46. That's my time zone. But like persistence started way before that, right? Like 2019. Like what was leading up to that? Like what was the time spent like before? How did we get to that point?
Yeah, think so. We started building like properly, officially around like Q3 of 2019, and before that, obviously the team was in touch. People were talking about building persistence, doing this, that, but nothing was in motion. And I think in Q3, all of us decided to move to Bangalore and rent out like a two-bedroom apartment to start working from there. And like I remember, Tushar being in a room in that two-bedroom apartment and pitching to investors to raise capital, and every engineer like putting on their headphones because the soundproofing of the apartment wasn't the best. So people would just be able to hear Tushar's, like pitching and doing things. So I think like leading up was very stressful, to be honest. Like 2019, 2020 was very stressful. There were people in the company who were not sure if they were going to get paid next month because we didn't have the capital that was needed. But obviously, somehow, we would figure out to make ends meet. And I think most importantly, what we had was a bunch of people who were willing to stick around and be okay with it. Like there were people in the team who were like, yeah, no problem, fuck it, we're still gonna stay here, and we're gonna do what we need to do to take this to market. And lots of things, right? The real world asset stuff obviously played a big part in us being able to believe in ourselves and be like, okay, we can actually ship a bunch of products at a great pace. And then the pivot from there led to a bunch of other things, which is okay, now we're focusing on liquid staking. We're building the product at the same time. The chain has to go live, so too many feelings. But I do think like it prepared us to be, because persistence was born out in a bear market. I believe like we are strong as an organization because of that. If we were born out of a bull market, we were a bull market project, I don't think we would be who we are today. We wouldn't have the same values perhaps either. So it's a good thing that we started off in 2019 and struggled throughout 2019, 2020, and kind of started seeing some progress in 2021.
That's interesting. I'm actually curious if anyone in the in the audience actually was also building at that time. Like I know, like in crypto, a lot of people come, a lot of people go, and there's a lot of yeah, a lot of how do you call it, like rollover in a way. Curious if anyone in the audience actually has been building since then, and maybe like would be curious to hear from someone like whether yeah, like how maybe the space has changed since 2019. Not sure who can we invite up to stage. Maybe if people are interested in sharing their experience from back in the days like 2019, 2020, would be good. Red Eyed Bear, I see you're there. You want to come up and speak for a second? What was it like in 2019, 2020, from your perspective, especially like on the Cosmos side?
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me up here and congratulations for 3 years of producing blocks. That's a hell of an achievement. Um, just a quick introduction to myself. My name is Red Eyed Bear, or you can just call me Red. I'm a contributor to Shade Protocol, which is an ecosystem of privacy preserving DeFi applications built on Secret Network. Um, Shade, like the idea for Shade and Silk was kind of put forth into the public right around the end of the last bull market, and the development of the core primitives for the Shade ecosystem, what makes up the Shade ecosystem, was all done during the bear market. And so from our perspective, that's pretty much all we've known from a building perspective. And there's a lot of pros to that. There's a lot of cons to that. Um, and how protocols set themselves up um, for success in that early stages is really important. One thing I do remember from talking about LSTs and kind of this building through the bear market, the first product that Shade launched was Stake Secret, which is a liquid staking derivative for Secret. And at the time, it was a completely standalone product. Shade hadn't launched its DEX. It hadn't launched its collateralized stablecoin. It hadn't launched any bond products. Didn't have the UI that it's got now. And so the vision for what this liquid staking derivative could be, what it could do, where it fits into our own ecosystem and other people's ecosystem um, was still in its really early stages. At the time, Osmosis was still kind of the dominant DEX, but DeFi in Cosmos hadn't really begun hitting main nets. We had a flurry of different app chains that built out specific DeFi primitives, various app chains focused on lending, various app chains focused on liquid staking derivatives. And then we started to see the cross pollination of these liquid staking derivatives starting to happen on money markets, in order books, and in different sorts of yield products. And so um, I would say one of my biggest takeaways from where at least Shade was thinking about the liquid staking derivative and its place in DeFi, and I imagine it would be somewhat similar to persistence and the different persistence liquid staking derivatives, is that the use cases for these liquid staking derivatives we're building are much greater. And that's as a result of builders, one, being able to realize the value that liquid staking provides, but two, a demand for the use of these types of products. And I think liquid staking derivatives have demonstrated clear product market fit. And now it's kind of on those providers, whether it be Shade, whether it be Persistence, anyone else, to work to continue integrating those products. And I think that's a lot of what Persistence is probably going to be focused on, over the course of the next 6 months. I know you guys also launched a few new liquid staking derivatives since the last time I saw you guys in Denver. So that's
Absolutely.
also awesome.
No, thanks a lot for sharing that, and absolutely, I think yeah, we all know that there is something like being too early to a market, and I think 3 years is definitely a long time, and a lot has changed since then. If you, let's say, can look back and say, look, you're going back in time 3 years. Maybe I don't know, on a personal level or like from Shade perspective, like would you do anything differently? Like if you have the hindsight that you have now?
I guess maybe something that would be better to do early on is, want to work closer with the layer one, whether it be community pools or larger entities for building up some of the initial liquidity. But that
Yeah.
being said, because we didn't do that, we've seen, really solid organic community adoption, and that's really good for a variety of reasons. Not just general adoption, but like people understanding how to perform long form arbitrage, be able to help keep those pegs, the market rate pegged pretty closely to the actual redemption rate. And so I would probably say put out more educational information at the beginning to help people understand like the what can come from this. That'd probably be the best thing.
Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Cool. Actually, want to get Super Arrow on as well. I think Super Arrow, you requested to speak. I know you've been a long time supporter for Persistence. Have contributed in a variety of ways. Curious to hear from you. Like, how have you seen Persistence evolve over the last 3 years? Anything you want to share that's kind of interesting or exciting?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and congratulations, guys, on 3 years of the chain. Now, I would like to share my experience about persistence, not as a contributor, but as a user, because XPRT token is what got me into Cosmos. I won an auction for XPRT on BitMEX, which is now SNDEX, centralized exchange. And this XPRT token was what probably got me into Cosmos ecosystem. And I very clearly remember the days when it had a TG, when the guys from LDA were no on the in the chat helping us. I remember when XPRT was among the first token to list on Osmosis to have the IBC. We had around about 6 or I think 7,000% APR for a few days on Osmosis. We had pools with Atom and Osmo, but I had started with XPRT Osmo pool on Osmosis, and the chat at that time, XPRT chat at that time had everyone probably know who is who in Cosmos, active on the chats, discussing about XPRT, discussing about Cosmos. Some of them have even started their own projects in Cosmos ecosystem as proper L1. There were times when we, holding staking XPRT, we were eligible for multiple airdrops, and it was an amazing start. That itself showed that the team was here to build. When we had the tokens, we were sure. No, I suppose Persistence was among the first projects to do Straight Drop, was among the first projects to do IBC, and was among the first pools on Osmosis, and may also probably, liquid staking was, we all probably even didn't know what liquid staking was. We all thought we had our token stake. So what do you mean by liquid staking? So there are so many things which probably Cosmos OGs also learned when they interacted with persistent chain. So yeah, that was how me as a user of the chain in 2021 saw persistence, and the experience was. And then
That's awesome, and I mean I do agree on that, and I do think actually, I mean, because of Persistence being one of the first, I would say 10 chains maybe that were building in Cosmos. I think a lot of other people kind of followed that lead and kind of got inspired as well. Like I'm not saying it's all because of Persistence, but definitely helped to kind of bring more people into the Cosmos ecosystem, and yeah, that's cool to hear that from a user perspective. Do you want to add anything onto that, Super Arrow?
oh, okay, yeah, sure. I just wanted to just add a few lines more. Sorry about my enthusiasm. I'm just wanted to share so much about how it was when the token launched, and then I just wanted to just mention that. the way the chain has grown and the team has been no persistent, as I can actually say, with introducing new concepts, whether they launched it on Ethereum and now have got it on persistent chain, the PSTake token, and all those drops. And there are so many things which is still building. So even from a user to someone as a contributor was something which was never motivated even by the price of the token or motivated by what rewards I'm getting, but was about how I saw the team working always, no, irrespective of how the market conditions are, they were always building and certain about what they want to achieve and what they want to give to Cosmos ecosystem. And that is something which has always kept me, being here in persistence, in peace take. And I'm sure we will be talking next year too, and celebrating lot more, anniversaries. And maybe by then we will have some more no things to do on the protocol. So looking forward, that's probably all I wanted to share my journey since we are celebrating this occasion today.
That's amazing, and thank you so much for sharing. Really appreciate it, and really appreciate you being an early supporter, and also appreciate Red Eyed Bear for coming on and kind of sharing his experience. I know that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one last
yeah,
thing. From a
please
collaborative
go.
perspective, the Persistence team is arguably the easiest team to identify if you're ever looking to talk to Cosmos teams at conferences. Clean white sweatshirts, t-shirts with red black lettering, and a big bad kid smack dab in the center. So if you want to go talk to these guys, super easy to find if you're ever at conferences. Suggest you go check them out.
Thank you for that. And funny enough, I'm actually wearing that exact hoodie that you're talking about today, as it's a bit cold here. But yeah, it was nice meeting you in Denver as well. Absolutely, and I think likewise, like very. Always nice kind of working together with you guys as well, and excited for what's coming up. I understand that Mikhail soon has to leave. I think he's flying to Hong Kong actually for a conference there. So wanted before he has to drop off, wanted to actually bring him back on to talk a bit more about the mission that we are pursuing, as well as like why we should be bullish on persistence in the long run. So Mikhail, if you want to add a few things onto that side before you drop off.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sharon, and thank you so much, Red Hat Bear and Super for sharing your experiences. I mean, I think similar feelings about the Shade team. I really enjoy working with you guys, and I think we've all had very good experiences working with you guys. So it's really good to be working with you. And Super Era, thanks a ton for all your contributions throughout the years. I think it means a lot, for somebody to stick around in the community and then find a way to contribute. It is what decentralized networks and ecosystems are about, where you find something and then you figure out how you want to contribute to that ecosystem, and you kind of become a part of the ecosystem, the network. So it's beautiful to see, and I think a lot more people should look to do things like that. Coming on to the point that Yaron, you want to talk about, which is why people should be bullish on us. I think it's very straightforward. Like, I think one is, it's been 3 years, no problem, not a big deal. I don't think we need to worry about or be happy or get excited about the 3 years we've had. Obviously, I'm speaking from a position where I'm like, where obviously I have the full visibility on things that we are doing today. So I feel like the 3 years we've had was more for us to learn and make mistakes and figure out what we need to do and how we need to do things. But the next few years, because we have the experience, we have the team, we have the understanding of the space, are just going to be very different. And we're not going to make the mistakes that we've made in the past. We're going to obviously make newer mistakes, but the objective is to make lesser mistakes, make mistakes that are not too big, but at the same time keep trying different things, keep betting. And for us, that's the most important thing, which is to keep experimenting, because the space allows you to experiment. Obviously, you want to experiment in a way where it does not lead to catastrophic problems, but at the same time, it's a very nascent stage industry, right? It's like, what, 15 years old. Not many industries are 15 years old and provide the opportunity for you to jump into it and build the things that you want to build. So for us, restaking is a big thing. There's two big things happening on the p-stake side, one of which has something to do with, you know, a chain on which you wear a hat, and you know, you keep shouting, the hat stays on. That's I think the marketing team is not gonna like that I just said that. But the other is a chain that is probably the most important chain in the space, and we'll share a lot more about those things. But we have made certain bets in the past, and we'll continue to make newer bets. But obviously, make sure that the bets we've made in the past, you know, we make we make them work. So for us, the objective is to find newer opportunities, make sure we deliver on those we you know, capture those opportunities, and we deliver, and we find value for everybody in the ecosystem. So yeah, I think that's about it from my side. I would just say keep an eye out on us. You know, we've moved slow in the past, perhaps. You know, if I look back 2019, 2020, we were quite slow. You know, today I would say, in terms of whether it's development speed, whether it's, you know, speed at which we operate, make decisions, is all so much faster, and most of it is thanks to, you know, the processes that Yarin has set up. I used to hate processes until Yarin came in and told me, wait, it actually helps you. So we are a very mature organization at Persistence Labs today, and that shows in the way we deliver things. And I think if you want to bet on somebody over the long term, you would want to bet on us, because first of all, I love being an underdog, and so does everyone at Persistence. I think we all love being underdogs. We are very competitive people, you know. I think it's what Jose Mourinho talks about. You hate losing more than you want to win, more than you love winning. It's the same. Like, you know, I hate losing more than I love winning also, but I want to win. Because here there is no draw. In football, you can there's a draw at least. Here you have to win, or you lose. So kind of very competitive people, and we'll continue to compete in the space, but at the same time look to, you know, not just compete, but look at ourselves more than looking at the competition as well, because you're competing with yourself in a space like this, you know, because your ego can kill you, your arrogance can kill you, and we've seen that happen many times. So for us, it's about staying humble, having that integrity, being patient and persistence, and we are going to do big things.
One question though, Mikhail, is it an underdog we've had?
I wish I was Mimi enough to have an answer for that, Yarin.
Just joking. Obviously, it is an underdog we've had, guys. That is always the case. But no, I want to. I want to add on to that. Like, I know as a co-host, I should ask questions and not give too many of my own opinions. But I think in this case, like, I absolutely agree. Like, I've joined Persistence about 2.5 years ago, and like I've seen the team just transform into a very mature team. Like we've built out the team, like we've built out the processes, the different verticals that you need in a company to succeed. I think we've literally taken the approach of kind of building for the long term, and I think it's kind of very cool to see it come together, and to really have a lot of things in place. And of course, nothing will be perfect ever, but I think we're in a really solid state at the moment, really solid position to kind of capitalize on that, and kind of carry that momentum going forward into the next couple of years. So super excited about that, and where we stand. Next up, actually want to bring on someone like from the team as well, who has also been with us for quite a while, and who has actually a lot of things to share. I think eventually he actually has hosted a lot of spaces for us, and I do think, like, I still see, like, every time I see him in person, I think he's a bit of a hype man, but he's also like in charge of a lot of our marketing stuff. So Aditya, if you can come on for a bit, and share your experience, like how do you think we've kind of prepared on the marketing side now, on the growth side? How are we ready for what's coming? What have we done, and how are we ready?
Yeah, absolutely. And so just a bit about myself before we get into that. So I've been part of Positions Labs as a contributor. Actually, I think I wear multiple hats within the company, whether that's on the product side, on the research side, on the growth side, on the marketing side, on the writing side. But there's no hat that I kind of hate or don't like doing. I think that's the relationship that is there with the company in that sense. So this is actually my first crypto job as well. This is the reason that I also got into crypto was because of Nikhil. So Nikhil is actually a senior to me from university, and then he was, I think, persistent enough to get me looking into crypto, and then eventually make me fall in love with this space. I think I oftentimes, because a part of my job also involves speaking to a lot of people externally, whether those are validators, whether those are founders, partners, integrations, all these other things. And then, whenever I am introducing myself, introducing persistence, I think there's a thing that I like to say. More than I like to say, it's about what I believe in. I think, after all these years working in crypto, working at persistence, I think I definitely found my vibe in crypto and definitely found my tribe with persistence. So it's been nothing short of an absolute pleasure being able to wake up every day, contribute in the way I do, and I look forward to doing that for the endless years to come. And in terms of hypes or in terms of things to come or why people should be bullish on us, I think once they understand the vision that we're building towards, or once they understand how we've stuck to our guns in terms of what we want to do in this space and how we differentiate altogether, because we are not just a liquid staking protocol, right? We are not just an L1 with a DEX. We are not just a chain that does some transactions here and there. But we're so much more than that, whether that's restaking, whether that's p-stake being a multi-chain liquid staking protocol, whether that's Dexter put together, whether that's the money market that's coming in the future. I think once people are able to figure and put that things together, I think that's where in a way we don't need to create that hype, because once you stumble upon persistence, you stick here.
That's very well said. Anything else, like Aditya, you want to add before we bring on, like, maybe someone external again? Like it's I want to make sure we kind of stick within the timeline, and definitely want still have a lot of people to come up. Anything else, Aditya, you wanted to add on, or can I invite, for example, I say 0x Alan, for example? I see you're here.
Yeah, I think nothing more to add from my side. I think pretty much what Nikhil mentioned too. Just keep an eye on us. And if I were a betting man, I'm not anymore because of all the money that I lost on Solana. But if I was a betting man, I would bet on us. Yeah.
How can you lose money on Solana, Aditya? It's maybe a concerning question, but anyway, we can pick that conversation up another another time. Um, let's see if anyone else wants to come up in the meantime. And like, I do actually would like to have some validators on as well. Like, I think validators have been very crucial in kind of producing these blocks for the last 3 years. So if any validators want to come up and kind of share a little bit more about the journey and then how we've worked together, happy to bring you guys up. Anyone else, please also just send a request to join in. I'm happy to kind of bring you on. If no one external at the moment is kind of joining in, maybe I can invite someone from the persistence team again and kind of let someone talk about their experience. I see Puneet, you joined in. If you can maybe request to I see Stake and Relax is coming up. Let me just give a second. Hello. I see Stake and Relax. Wookie, do I say that correct?
Yeah, BM.
BM. Welcome. How are you, sir?
Yeah, thank you for having me on stage. And first of all, congratulations on 3 years of persistence chain. I think this is a really, really big achievement and a really great milestone. As we all know, like crypto is a really like fast living space, and 3 year maybe doesn't sound a lot, but if you look into crypto space and how fast everything is evolving, that's actually really really incredible. And if you look back what Cosmos was 3 years ago and what it is now, I think that's there you see like what 3 years really can mean. And also for persistence, if you followed it closely, I think there you see really the developments that the team and the project itself went through. And yeah, I just want to give you a huge shout out. It's amazing to see the developments in the I remember where Persistence, which is the pioneer basically of liquid staking, right? I think that's something like where Persistence doesn't get the credit for enough. But like in the beginnings, to like liquid stake your atom, you had to liquid stake it on ETH, right? And now it's like so easy that you can do it like with one click, really view costs. And now on top of liquid staking, you guys actually also building restaking. So you came a really long way across, and I think the future of persistence looks really bright, and we're really proud to validate the chain. And yeah, Wookie
Uh,
is bullish.
appreciate that. Appreciate that feedback. And are you willing to change from stake and relax to liquid stake and relax, or restake and relax, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we can discuss that. Um, but yeah, I think what you say makes sense. Like 3 years actually a very long time. Obviously, like we count in dog years, as we say, right? So 3 years in crypto is what, like, is it 7 years a dog year? I don't know. You should actually know better than me. But yeah, that's like the equivalent of about 20 years to be building. And yeah, I do feel like a lot has changed since then, and a lot moves forward. UX UI has been a big focus, and as we mentioned earlier, sometimes you can be too early with certain products. I think one product was the real world assets thing that kind of was at the starting point of persistence. Then the liquid staking solution for Atom on Ethereum was also too early in a way, but kind of finding the right balance eventually, and then kind of pivoting to something that works long term. That should always be the goal. But yeah, from our end, also like very appreciative of everything that you guys do as a validator. But not only you, I guess all validators that are part of our journey, whether they were there at the beginning and still there, or whether they are there and join somewhere later in. Doesn't really matter. Like everyone who's part of our journey, like very much appreciated. And yeah, wanted to thank you and all validators for that. And yeah, if any other validator wants to come up later, feel free to do so. I see that Brendan also requested to speak. Brendan from Agoric. Yeah, curious to hear from you, Brendan, and how you are, and like yeah, what you wanted to share with us regarding the journey of the last 3 years of persistence, and maybe something that's relevant to Agoric.
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. Yeah, just wanted to jump in here and yeah, congratulate Persistence on 3 years. I think more kind of forward looking, the partnership between Agoric and Persistence has been blossoming now in the last couple of months, and there's lots of exciting things in the pipeline. So we're really looking forward to that. The most kind of relevant thing is this Agoric Cosmos Hub proposal, and as part of that, SDK Atom being added to Interprotocol, and so we're really excited to add that as our latest supported collateral type. We hope that launches in the next week or so, and that will dovetail nicely with the Cosmos Hub proposal. And for speaking, for Inter and Agoric, that's from our perspective, adding other staked assets, particularly staked Atom, kind of diversifies risk. It decentralizes what is already our a very decentralized system. That's what IST seeks to be, and it just brings a net good to not just the Inter protocol ecosystem, but just the Cosmos DeFi ecosystem also. So we're really excited for adding SDK Atom, for the Cosmos Hub proposal to go live. And there's other exciting things happening too. I think you're probably talking a bit more to my colleague Hannah about some other interesting projects. So yeah, just in general, looking forward to seeing where the relationship goes this year. It's been a great partnership, and bigger and better things are happening, and we can kind of ride the next 6 to 12 months together. And I think it's going to be an awesome time.
Absolutely, and I think likewise from our end, it's been a pleasure to work more closely together in the last couple of months, meeting in person as well with various team members. been good. On the proposals that you mentioned, I mean, I haven't followed the absolute latest, but so you're saying currently they're still on the forum to be discussed, and then later on they will go on chain, or what's the latest update there?
Yeah, so I'm not as close as say Hannah is. Hannah's been working a lot closer, my colleague. But as far as I know, discussion is still ongoing. But I feel like we're kind of. I see last comment was about 3 days ago. A lot's been discussed back and forth, but I think we're ultimately converging on getting it up on chain, and we have pretty wide support, and so we're pretty hopeful that we can succeed there. So I believe we're just going to move it to an on-chain proposal. I suspect it might be this week, but I won't speak out of turn. I'll check with Hannah, but I think everything's pointing to us moving it forward. And so, yeah, fingers crossed, everything goes well. We get it passed.
Nice. That's great to hear. And of course, everyone, go and have a look at these forum posts, at these proposals. Definitely make sure you vote however you want to, but make sure you're informed. I do think, like personally, it's great to have more variety in assets to back stable coins. STK Atom being one of those is a great starting point, and hopefully we can bring on even more. So yeah, very positive about all of these developments, and super bullish on working together more closely with Agoric and everything that the team is doing. Yeah, super excited. Also, I think on the chain abstraction stuff, I think you guys are doing great stuff. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining in and sharing some things here. While we move on, I see actually 0x Allen has joined us as a speaker as well. I personally don't think we have had a chance to speak like the two of us in a conversation, but I know you're quite big on the restaking side. So yeah, curious to hear from you how you think Persistence is positioned at the moment on the restaking aspect, or just in general. Like, curious to hear your views on restaking and what can happen.
Yeah, thank you for having me. The first thing I want to say is, congratulations on 3 years. 3 years is like 3 decades in crypto, right? A week goes by and you're like, what just happened, right? And then there's always a new narrative. There's a new sort of like hype thing, especially in this cycle. It seems like these windows continue to get shorter. So 3 years is definitely immense. And the more I've learned around the Cosmos ecosystem, and after the, sort of like the Terra blow up, I've seen several teams that just went heads down and kept building and were focused and were undeterred by what happened, like 2 years ago, 18 to 24 months ago. So I think that's also very commendable and should be applauded, because a lot of people could have just given up. People give up when they have all these funds, right? There's projects that raise all this money and then they just give up, even if they don't have that sort of like ultimate FUD, which is what happened to a lot of the Cosmos ecosystem. So that's something to me that just shows a lot of perseverance and everything. And it's specifically around persistence and restaking. I think there's two things going on right now. There are a lot of liquidity games going on. People are trying to pull in liquidity and create incentives for that. And you see that, and I think meme coins are a lot of that, NFTs are a lot of that. And I think ultimately these liquidity games will eventually get to the point where it becomes less about liquidity and more about like the UX and sort of how people are able to leverage like different assets. So I know one of the things that I've been working with the Persistence team on is this concept of like restaking anything, right? For instance, the whole eigenlayer narrative is around restaking ETH. Well, I'm a big, I would consider myself more core to the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm not a maxi at all, but that's sort of where I spend most of my time. And Ethereum's great, but there's really, this all comes down to economic security. So it's just exciting that the approach that Persistence is taking around this restaking narrative is around restaking anything and sort of creating this sort of more opportunistic approach for people who want to look at restaking, and then you get to have different ways to calculate and measure and leverage economic security. And I think persistence is going to be a big part of the restaking narrative. The Cosmos ecosystem, I'm really excited about what I see going on between like Ethos State, because that to me is like a bridge between Ethereum ecosystem and Cosmos ecosystem. And I think persistence is just going to be very well positioned because you're building those pathways now. And once the sort of broader meta becomes around restaking and we start getting some of these more simplified narratives. So here's what usually happens. The reason meme coins work is because they're simple. No one has to think about it. The reason DeFi Summer worked was because people didn't even know what being an LP was. There were yams, and there was farming this and like peas and like jars of pickles and all this, because it's like a simplified, distilled down thing. And I think we're going to get that in restaking too. And part of that is restaking anything. You know, whatever assets you have, there's going to be some sort of economic security. So I'm just excited about where persistence is going as it relates to not just restaking, but just everything tied to the staking narrative and just the way you've positioned yourself. I'm very bullish on the Cosmos ecosystem for the foreseeable future.
Would you say that on the restaking side, I think you're most bullish about the fact that people can start stacking yields rather than on the economic security side? I mean, I think there's two aspects to the restaking part, right? Like is obviously the stacking of yields, and the second part is kind of the additional economic security that it brings to whether it's an AVS or whether it's a chain or whether it's an Oracle or whatever, right? So are you saying that you're more interested to like the use cases that it brings on the yield stacking side than about the actual usage on the infrastructure side? Or like, well, how do you see that?
I think honestly, ultimately, it all comes down to some sort of yield. Because the reason that it comes down to yield, because regardless of the reason, the yield is the incentive. And that's sort of how I feel like it's always about some sort of like service, whether that's security or infrastructure that you're providing, and someone's giving you their liquidity, whether for them to do it or someone to do it on their behalf. At a high level, it's pretty much all about yield, and that yield could be a token, it could be a stable coin, it could be it could be it could be a lot of different things, and that's why I'm excited about it, right? Because it's to me, it's yield fi is where we're going. And that broader narrative is also something that I think that if you look at just even zooming out even further, TradFi loves yield. And yeah, they're not going to come and like degen into like any of the things we're doing, but it just takes a few sort of, you know, big wins before such a concept could get enough liquidity and enough volume. Who knows how things play out? One of the things I know, I've been in crypto for 7 years, you literally can never say never. I mean, we're talking about ETFs right now, and we got a Bitcoin ETF. 7 years ago, we were, you know, crypto was like for scammers and criminals only. And now we got Larry Vink talking about tokenizing the world, right? So you can never say never.
Very, very true. And I mean, I was actually working on a slide earlier that kind of brings down our vision and like came up with a quote is like yield dictates finance, staking yield will dictate crypto. So I'm a big believer of that, and I do agree with you that like in the end, like it all ends up like being based on the yield that can bring, and like whatever it does on the security side, like yield is actually the outcome that people are looking for. But yeah, on that note, like thank you so much, Zero X Alan, for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing some of your insight, and really excited for what's next.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I see a lot of like other people coming out. I see Validatus, sorry, coming up, requesting to speak. So yeah, welcome, and yeah, please feel free to take the stage and share a bit more about any of the topics we've discussed so far.
GM guys. So first off, it's been a long ride with Persistent, and it's an honor for us to also be one of the validators for Persistence. We've seen a lot of development that has been going on, and also witnessed the fact about the risk-taking innovation and persistent is actually working on, which has actually been a good one. Also, moving on, the new updates are pertaining onboarding new users or and people who can actually spread the good news about restaking and liquid staking as regards to persistence has really been a good one. Congratulations to persistence, and looking forward to having good things and bringing new innovations to help the Cosmos ecosystem in general. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing, and yeah, it's been a pleasure to have you on as a validator, and for thank you for all the collaborations and all the efforts that you guys put in. Next, maybe want to move on a little bit to go back on like how we got to where we stand today. Like last 3 years, I think we couldn't have done it without the help of our incredible devs. Like we actually have a few engineers that have joined the call. Would actually love to bring some of them up to share a little bit of the experience from their side. Often they are not that externally facing, and yeah, I think it's very interesting for them to share some insights. Whether Puneet or Pranjal, if you guys want to come on, talk a bit about the experience that you've had. Let's see if you can come up. Just 1 second. Not working at the moment. That's the thing, obviously, with with engineers. Sometimes they're very deep into the code, and I think typically not as active on Telegram. So we can bring you guys on later. Not an issue. Oh, I see, Pranjal. Hey, Pranjal.
Within persistence in persistence labs for a while. So basically, for those who don't know me, like I am the code developer for the Dexter protocol, and I take care of a bunch of other things within persistence labs. But yeah, I am the Dexter guy, sort of, to speak of here, and also like the Rust guy in persistence labs. So yeah, like I have been building in this space for a while, primarily with persistence, and it's been a great experience and journey overall. Like I have seen, the organization and the things, like we as a company and as a chain grow from us, having like some not so good days, like where there used to be downtimes due to like not good processes and stuff, but evolving it to like a solid state where we keep up with the Cosmos SDK updates. We do like a lot of innovations and try out a lot of things early on our chain. Things like obviously like persistence had been one of the early chains to try out, to join the IBC. The stake drop was the first. Then when LSM was rolling out, persistence was one of the early chains where the LSM support was there, and we rolled out LSM support for liquid staking for Atom early on. So a lot of things we try out early on. We want to remain experimental as well as agile in terms of and also we want to do all of that keeping security in mind. And that's the reason a lot of experimentation, like persistence position itself as not just like a L1 for liquid staking, but it's like a liquid staking hub where not only the liquid staking protocol lives and thrives, but also like applications which are liquid staking first can be there, and they can be like that's the advantage of this ecosystem. But to say, Yeah.
Yeah, Pranav, maybe a question I think that some people might have, like obviously like we've been live for 3 years, trying
Yeah.
to keep everything very secure. One of the ways we do that is like we have auditors on retainer. Kieran, maybe you can tell a little bit more about like the security side of things. Like how do we typically work? Let's say you as an engineer, you finish a piece of code. How does it work from there to make sure it gets audited? What are the different stages we go through to get that actually on chain, like in a nutshell? So let's say like keeping it short.
Right. So yeah, I mean, every piece of code that we put out, first of all, we try to like make sure that any piece of code never goes into production, unaudited and without due governance approval. So every piece of code that goes on chain is like there is like a set process where we get it audited by one or more auditors, and we try like there is like a very strict policy that we don't want to ship any code which hasn't been audited at least once by reputed auditors. We have been working with very reputed auditors like Halburn, Oak, and Hexen's team to for a bunch of our products. And Dexter has gone through multiple audits. Each change that you see on Dexter protocol, particularly because I can speak for that, I work with that, so has gone through audits. And like even if we have to make like a small change, to do a follow up for an existing one, we make sure that nothing is missed. Every line of code is seen and is duly tested, because security is like the first priority. Because uh, nothing is worth if you are not secure enough. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I mean, I'm happy to hear you say it like that. It means like all the things we discuss internally like are very clear as well. Like security comes first, and like we don't compromise on that. So thanks a lot for sharing that with us. I do see we're actually already over time, so I want to start rounding it up shortly. But maybe if possible, still want to bring someone in who's actually also going to Hong Kong, who's going to join Mikil on that trip to represent Persistence. Bart, are you able to come up and speak briefly, like on like what the yeah, like maybe what the plan is for Hong Kong? Maybe also what's your experience been with the team? Like you've joined, I think, similar timelines to me. Yeah, maybe to round it up, would be great to hear from you. Leo from Quasar joining as well. Just hold on while we get you guys on. There we go. I think Quasar is connecting. Just give it a few more seconds.
Hello.
All right. There you are. Hello, hello.
What's
Welcome.
up, everyone?
Hey, all good. How are you?
Man, I'm great. I can't complain. Had a good start to the week. April Fools was fun. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, very good, very good. We just celebrated our third year of persistence. So yeah, new month, new week, new year in a way.
Nice.
So can't complain. A lot of new things in the pipeline. Think a lot of things that have come up recently. A lot of positive involvements, including partnership with Quasar. So yeah, welcome to the space. Happy to have you
Wait,
here.
who
And
who who is Quasar? We are Quasar.
oh,
I don't
is
know
that
who you're
how you
talking about, but
pronounce it?
no, we're actually just
Or-
stirring the we're actually just stirring the pot. You said it the right way. I just think it's very fun to confuse people. But man, three
it's
years. Are you hitting? Are you going to kindergarten soon? Is that what's happening? Persistence goes
we're
kindergarten.
we're way past university already. We live in dog years. You might have missed that part of the conversation, but we're actually 21 plus now, so we're obviously legal.
Ooh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Respect. Sounds good.
How are you? Like, what's new with you guys? Maybe curious to hear from you as well. Like how you've seen like the partnership and the evolvements like with between Quasar and Persistence in the last
Yeah.
couple of weeks. Curious to hear from you.
No, for sure. Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'm very happy to hear that we're kind of just winging it. So I have gotten some notes from our lead of marketing, but don't tell her that I'm not gonna follow them. But yeah, I think the partnership is cool for everyone that isn't in the loop. Just quite simply, we launched vault-based incentives, which essentially means if you want to have your liquidity in CL, which is by far more efficient than any traditional AMM position. Because your liquidity is being used significantly more for swapping, you use a Quasar Vault because otherwise you have to manually rearrange and you can get destroyed on impermanent loss. There is enough statistics if you want to read into it of why you shouldn't do it manually. So that's the service we provide. That's why we have 10 million TVL. And with you guys, we recently launched a vault-based incentive program where essentially you guys have chosen to specifically incentivize people in the vault and not just the pool. Why is that super sick? Beyond obviously making Quasar more attractive, I think there's actually a first step into a significantly more realistic approach of how to look into DeFi, which is that if you incentivize broad kind of positions and broad uses of liquidity, like directly into the AMM, you are oftentimes incentivizing the wrong behavior. You're incentivizing tick sniping, which has been a huge issue for a while now. You are incentivizing mercenary capital, which means you don't have sticky liquidity. You basically just have someone, yield farming and then leaving again, which is both like very bad spending from a protocol perspective. And what we at Quasar, we're kind of, we've been doing this now for multiple months on Osmosis, and I think we have a pretty rare insight into the depth of liquidity provisioning and how that all looks. And we kind of figured out that there is like a really desperate need for protocols to be able to target healthy liquidity, simply because it's so hard to attract healthy liquidity if the incentive structures are not aligned. So considering that our vaults need to provide healthy liquidity because of the size of them, right? So because we are essentially whales in every single pool that we are deposited into, we need to be healthy. Otherwise, we cannot rebalance and be, mercenary capital, because that would just destroy on slippage. You can now effectively, as a protocol, directly incentivize the vault, which means that you incentivize users that provide healthy liquidity. And this way, you make actually better yield on healthy liquidity than trying to tick snipe the pool, thus helping with your objective. So I think, long story short, as DeFi gets more complicated, you guys have chosen the right path to make it easier for users.
Absolutely, and I'm really appreciating that you can bring it in such a not complex manner. I do think it's quite a complex problem, actually, like the tick sniping and stuff, which I've obviously experienced also as a user. Like once the concentrated liquidity pools started to become a thing, like I realized as a user, it becomes more and more complicated to provide liquidity, and eventually you either just stop doing it, or you kind of just put a wide range, but then you don't really get the
Which I have to
rewards.
intersect is like horrible, right? Like
Absolutely,
I don't think users realize that everything, all of DeFi depends on LP pools. Like all of it.
uh,
Like
um,
every single action, if you borrow, if you lend, if you leverage, if you use Mars or Yumi, if you use Persistence or any other liquid staking provider, if you use Restake, like anything you do is dependent on the LP pools, because that's where the liquidity lies for liquidations, that's where liquidity lies for purchases, that's where liquidity lies for conversions. So the one of the kind of this is where I give a lot of liquid staking protocols like you guys a lot of kudos, is the invention of a liquid staking token is essentially the invention of making staking yields not compete with DeFi yields. Like that is actually the real reason for liquid staking to exist. It's obviously the fact that you have the token liquid is like the nice benefit of how you kind of get users. But the real kind of hidden benefit of it is that you suddenly may ensure that DeFi can stay competitive. And DeFi needs to be competitive
absolutely.
because staking makes no sense if you don't actually have users and DeFi. Otherwise, what are you staking for? Like, what are you securing? So,
Absolutely, and
yeah,
especially I think on the Cosmos side, like where yields have been so high, like everyone was just staking. It was very hard actually to even get
yeah,
adoption in DeFi, right? Like it actually hurt
yeah.
the adoption of DeFi just because of the staking yield was so high. No one wanted
Like,
to actually
absolutely.
change.
Why would you need $2 billion of security if what you're securing is worth 10 million? Right? It's like it's completely absurd. So the fact that like so many protocols, so many different DeFi primitives, they're getting smarter and better, are just out competing with liquidity pools on just pure yield, right? Like just like pure yield is actually a service that LP pools do for every other primitive, because the other primitives would just simply not be able to exist without the LP pools. So the fact that, like, I think that's one of the core reasons why protocols incentivize LP pools and basically almost nothing else, because that's like really the bread and butter. So yeah, man, that's why I think what you guys have done is going to be an ongoing trend for many protocols in Cosmos. Like if
I
any
hope
of you
so.
listening, if any of you listening are
I,
part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope we kind of set a trend here, and I'm actually convinced because in a way, look, capital will flow where it's generating most yield and where it's most efficient. I'm a big believer of that, and I do believe like Quasar brings a lot of that. So thank you so much for sharing that and for coming on. I'd like to soon start to close off the space, but before that, I wanted to kind of bring on someone I wanted to bring up earlier, someone who's also going to represent in Hong Kong, someone who's been with Persistence Labs for quite a while and who's known to be a very calm and well thought through speaker. So maybe I think you're the best position, Bart, to give a quick summary, like a calm conclusion of the space of celebrating 3 years of persistence and of what's ahead.
Thanks for having me on, by the way. It's been a pleasure, guys.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Bart.
Hi everyone. Yeah, sorry for my technical issues earlier. So thanks for having me on, Jeroen. It was great listening to everyone, sort of reminiscing about the past and sort of the future. I think, like from a personal perspective, joining Persistent has been like a very good thing. You know, I've really enjoyed what we've been working on, and sort of the relationships, you know, between people within Persistence is great. You know, everyone's very smart and motivated, so all of that has been really, really good. When I sort of thought of joining, like the thing that convinced me was when Tushar, sort of the founder, and Mikkel, the co-founder, when they told me like, we think in long term, like in decades, like really sort of building something that's going to last, and sort of, you know, really long term vision. That was really important to me, and I think that's what I really want to convey to others as well, is that we, as much as we've been around for 3 years, I think we really want to keep building and contributing to the space, whether it's in Cosmo or crypto in general. So I think all of that is fantastic, and it's nice that we've heard from more validators and some other projects that we've been working with. I think overall it's very positive, and I'm really bullish on the future for persistence and crypto in general. So I hope that everybody's with me here, and that we can keep working together for the future, and, you know, make the best of it. Yeah.
Yes, and we're only getting started. That's what I remember from this. Like, we are only getting started. We haven't even started yet.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
on that note, it would be a nice ending. But I actually see that we have someone else who is willing to come up and speak, and maybe as a last speaker to invite MOIC Digital. Please come on. Curious to hear what your thoughts are on persistence. I know we've been in contact for a while, so yeah, curious to hear from you. Thanks a lot, Bart, by the way, and have good luck in Hong Kong.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey there. First of all, just wanted to congratulate you guys for these 3 years. I'm Lorenzo, part of Mike's team. We are a crypto research company specialized in content production. We're very bullish on composability and DeFi money legals. Of course, liquid staking and restaking are at the heart of composability, and we think that persistence bringing these features to Cosmos, that of course benefits a lot from these features, is very bullish, né? And we're very bullish on persistence future. This stake anything concept being home of Pistake and Dexter. We really see how persistence can add to Cosmos. You know, it's very nice to be part of this movement.
It's great to have you as a part of it, Lorenzo. And like, curious, what is your favorite asset? Like, what's the one you're most bullish on when it comes to liquid staking or restaking?
Well, that's a tough question, but I'm not sure if I have a favorite one. I'm not a decision person, you know. I'm a bit confused. But
Maybe
I really enjoyed
yeah.
this concept, you know. So you can validate the network, you can you know, integrate everything, and everything working in a fluent way, you know.
Absolutely, and maybe a suggestion or maybe a small hint. There is a liquid staked version of XPRT coming very soon. So that's the alpha everyone has been waiting for in the last, let's say, 80 minutes. But the SDK XPRT has been fully audited, just making some final preparations before that goes live. So that's a high note to end on. Was there anything else you wanted to share, Lorenzo? Or?
No, I think it's basically all that I said, and it's great to see new partnerships like Babylon, and I'm sure new partnerships will be announced in the future. So yeah, we're always following persistence movements. It's really nice to we can see that you guys have a strong community and are really worried about people's concerns, you know.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for coming on and sharing some of these. On that, I think on that like note, I'd like to kind of round up the space and thank everyone for coming on, for sharing experiences from the past, for forward-looking thoughts on the future, sharing what you guys are all excited about. We're obviously very excited. We're very happy and grateful to be building alongside or with or together with all of you. Have you as community members, builders, investors, validator, anyone who's kind of joined us on the journey, team members, engineers, marketing team, literally everyone. So yeah, I think it's been 3 years of gratitude in a way. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for joining today. The best is definitely yet to come. It's just the beginning. We're very excited to have you all here for the journey. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing another one in a year's time, and then celebrate the 4 years of persistence. Then hopefully with a lot of cool new stuff as usual. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of the day.